What's up, everybody? As you're working on your homework, it's going to get a little tough this week with the formulas. So the main thing that's the toughest. Hopefully you've went through and you've read the sections. Just to remind you, you do have access to the ebook. I'm going to come back to this problem in just a second. The ebook is once you log in and log into the homework, you see ebooks here. Then when you click on ebooks, you should only see your book. I have a lot of books, but you should see this book here. But you can access your ebook that way. Real easy. Then you can just go into the sections. And I would suggest reading through the sections. The textbook is very readable. It's not the typical math book. You see lots of paragraphs and words. All these words are important. All the paragraphs are important. I usually go to one page at a time, and then you can zoom in. If you can't see the page, you can zoom in a little bit to make the text bigger. But as you go through this chapter 5 this week, you've probably seen the tougher formulas. There's a tough formula for the correlation coefficient, R, and there is a tough formula to figure out a regression line. So I'm not really sure how much time you've spent on that so far, but if you haven't spent any time, you haven't seen the formulas. They are complex, so you're going to need to spend a little extra time. Now, working these out by hand can be a pain because there's so many values that you have to plug into your formulas. So you have to make a column for x, a column for y, kind of like with standard deviation and variance, but you have to do a lot more. You can see this formula here. This is for correlation coefficient, just for an R. And R is kind of like a slope. In the, if you think about it kind of like in algebra, it's like a slope. It's always going to be between -1 and 1. And there are a couple different properties you're going to need to read about. And, because, what if it's close to 1? What if it's close to -1? There's a couple different properties you need to know. So that's here in the textbook or in the Learn section of your homework. But it is kind of tough to figure these out by hand, and it's mainly because if you want to calculate, you got to do all this right here. So you got to do a column of x, a column of y, then a column of x times y, a column of x squared, a column of y squared. You got to find all those sums, plug all that stuff in. That's just for R. And then there's more formulas in the this fitting a linear model here. We go over how to write the equation, and it's kind of like y equals mx plus b. I mean, that's kind of what it's like, but it's not exactly the same because we switch these two terms around in statistics, and instead of y equals mx plus b, we use y equals b sub o plus b sub 1 times x. So you can see this b is like your b sub o, and the slope, your m, is like your b sub 1. So your slope is like what's in front of x. So in statistics, we use this formula. And again, the actual formulas that you have to use to calculate this stuff they are pretty long. So that means there's a lot of room for error. So you can see to find b sub 1, you have to do all of this stuff, and to find b sub o, you have to do this stuff. Well, I would suggest either using a calculator, or if you can't use a calculator to do all of that, everyone in here has access to Microsoft Excel, whether you know it or not. If you are a Colin student, you can download a copy of Microsoft Excel. If you log into your Office 365 account and you come up here to install Office products, you can install the whole thing or this whole Microsoft suite, or you can install different ones, by themselves, whatever. You can even, I believe there's even a version for your phone, but I wouldn't suggest putting too much on your phone. You do need a computer to do this class. Hopefully you've been working on a computer. All right, so that's I say it's for free. It's included with your tuition. So if you're a co-lend student, you have access to download that, and I think you can install it on a couple different computers if you want to. All right, and I'll show you a quick way to use Excel to work those problems. So let's go back. Let me go back into the homework. I'm going to go into, let's see, modules. Well, single sign-on. So this is a big shortcut. So if you've kind of tuned me out up until this point, this will be a good time to start listening. So I'm going to show you a problem here, and it would take a really long time if we were doing it out by hand. And this is under the practice. You can even go through and look at the work they do if you want. But I'm going to show you a quick way to do this problem in Excel. So to do this problem in Excel, you're going to need to copy this first column of values, the first test grades. You're going to need to write those down in Excel. So I've already done that. You don't have to label your columns, but this is all the first grade grades, and then the next column I made is all the second grade grades. So if you go back to the homework, you can see there's first grade test and second grade test. That's the two values that we need to come up with this y bar or y hat equals, and this is our regression line. So if I put those two in Excel, that's the two columns of values, and then you select all the values like that, just left click and drag, then I can insert, let's see, a chart. So you see recommended charts here under insert. If I click on that, I'm going to use a scatter plot. So that's the top one here, it's already selected. So this is what it would look like. Okay. This is the scatter plot. Now, the problem's not asking for the scatter plot. The problem's asking for the regression line, the equation. So what you can do to get the equation is you come up here and to add chart element, and then go down to trend line and linear. So that's what the line looks like. Okay. Now you can go in and format the trend line, and if you, let's see where it is, trend line options, let's see, let me format the trend line. It's not exactly what I wanted. There is an option here to show the equation, so I just have to find it. Let's see, trend line. All right, under more trend line options, if I click that, so this is the trend line options. You see how it says linear? So that has my linear line there. And then if I scroll down a little bit, you can see display equation on chart. And I can even display the R squared value on the chart. So this right here, that's all those values that, and you can, if that's too small, you could change it to a different size. So that's all those values. That's your, this is your B sub 1 here. This is your B sub O here. And then if you were to square R, your R squared value here. So you might have to play around with it a little bit in Excel, but all this stuff that we're doing, you can do in Excel. Like it will do all the adding, and it will do all the standard deviation, it will do all this, that stuff. From time to time, I might show you how to do something a little extra. You know, this would be something I would usually show my students in class. So if you're getting stuck, though, and you're having to do a lot of work, a lot of manual write-out work, and you are looking for a way for some shortcuts, just send me an email, and from time to time I can help you with a calculator problem, or I can help you with a shortcut in your calculator, or maybe a shortcut in Excel. Have a great day and a good weekend, and good luck with all your work.